Hello everybody, my name is Jordan and welcome to Let's Learn Playthrough. I'm here joined with my guest today, Nastya, a new face on the show. Tell us a bit about yourself, Nastya.
So, even though I'm the new face in this show, I'm the founder of Free Time Club. And fun fact about me that I'm not really into board games, but I really want to try this out and I hope we're gonna enjoy it.
I hope we will indeed. I will be going through the setup and how to play DUNE Imperium. Released in 2022, this came out in conjunction with the first Dune movie in the new series. As you can see, it has the faces of the actors, of the characters of the new movie, and it's themed very much around that. We have a lot of imagery of the desert planet. So today we're going to do a Let's Learn playthrough of DUNE Imperium. Released in 2020, this predates the release of the official movie, even though it has all the actors used as visuals. Visuals also taken from the movie's style. So in essence, the movie rips off this game. The first Dune game, of course, was released in 1979. The book, originally, released in 1965.
Ooh.
We might talk a bit about the 1979 game a bit later, but that's going to be more for fun, because more than anything I want to make fun of it.
Of course.
I'll introduce myself, of course. I'm Jordan Levine, your host today, and fun fact about me, my favorite game is Star Realms, the sci-fi deck building, ship collecting, base erecting, deck building game. And this is the reason why I thought playing this game, or showing you how to play this game today, was the most interesting thing for me, because this reminds me a lot of Star Realms. Just like Star Realms, you have here a deck of 5 cards that you can choose to add to your deck in order to create a stronger force to destroy your opponent.
Okay.
Unlike Star Realms, however, and as we see as we move through the game, this game focuses a lot more on what happens here on the board, especially when it comes to placing your little workers, in this case an army and an agent, as well as the sort of powers and theme of these characters, the house leaders.
Nice.
So, quick introduction. These leaders here represent 4 of the different noble houses in Dune. We have here the Atreides, the house Thorvald, the house Harkonnen, and the house, geez, I don't know how to say that, house Richesi?
Rishis.
Perhaps so, Richis. I've not gotten to that point.
Riches.
Must be from a different book. I've never heard of them. We also have here the deck of cards for House Hagal, which we will be using today because this will be required when playing for 2 or 1 players. This game, of course, then is best played with 3 players or 4 players. At the top of each of these leader cards is a small symbol that shows you the difficulty of their powers, as it were. So one little symbol over here will show you that it's the base difficulty, the easiest. 2 symbols over here means that it's 1 step up, and the most difficult here, level 3, would be Vladimir Harkonnen. And, oh, Miss Duke S. Gräfin Duke S. Torvald. We're playing the German version of the game today because of the hype of the movie coming out, the second Dune movie, already in cinemas. We weren't able to get a copy of the game. It's practically sold out everywhere in English, especially in Germany.
Popular thing.
So, and to be honest, I quite like playing some games in German, especially board games.
Why not?
German's a very fun language when it comes to especially fantasy and things like this, because a lot of these words are just fun to say. For example, überzeugendes Argument. Convincing argument. That's cool. It's like when you say words like these, it's like casting a spell.
Yeah, it's already quite powerful.
Yeah. Like die Wüste, the desert. Der Wüsteplanet. It's like when you say things in Japanese. You do it in the most dramatic way possible and it comes out awesome. For all your viewers watching who don't know German, don't worry about it. I will be doing my best to translate whatever is important, but otherwise, if you're coming to Free Time Club, you will find English versions of the rules inside the box. And I have to say, for multi-language rules, Dune does a very good job in its rulebook. This game has a very good detailed rulebook where it shows you the details of a lot of the cards, a lot of the spaces on the board, so you'll have translations of that if you find a PDF online. We can also put a link in the description. Oh yeah, the funny part about this German version though, is that for some reason, the German translation decided to call the Choam company, C-H-O-A-M, the Mafia company. A little bit on the nose. But it is a legitimate company. Also, I love this character right here in German because instead of this intimidating Glosu, the best Raban, this is Glosu, die Bestie Raban. He's like your best friend here. Hey, bestie. So I'd actually like to play him. He looks like a lot of fun.
So I should also choose a character now.
Yeah, go ahead. You can choose any character.
Okay. Actually, I really like Vladimir, but it's too complicated, I guess, for the newcomer.
Yeah.
So I would go with Timothée Chalamet, whatever.
Sure. It's like the pronunciations of all of the other things in Dune. Who knows how to pronounce it? So yeah, you'll go with Paul Atreides. I will go with my bestie. So that is the first part of the game. You're going to want to pick your character. You don't really have to know what the characters do, just who do you think's really cool from the movie or the books. Next, we will start looking at the game board. Also, there's a lot of Harkonnen faces here. I don't know why you would want to look at all of these faces throughout the game.
But he's the coolest.
He is a very cool character, that's true, but like... In the book...
So you know your enemies, that's why.
Yeah, know the face of your enemy. It's very funny, in the book, he's described as having all his fat lifted up by like hovering machines.
Reverse gravitation.
It's like his legs can only hold like a third or a quarter of his weight. The rest is all done like holding up his fat. It's a very strange image. What you're going to want to do to set the board up is place these faction symbols on the board. Here you will see the 4 factions. We have the Emperor, the Spacing Guild, the Bene Gesserit, and the Fremen. You just put the matching symbol onto the matching space, and then you're going to want to get your pieces out. These are water pieces. They signify one of the most important resources on the desert planet. These are the Solaris pieces. These are the currency of the Empire. And here are the spice pieces, created, of course, by the Dune planet's big worms. Well, more than that, they are the gods of the planet, the Shai Hulud.
Oh, interesting.
You're going to want to keep this to one side. This shows you who the first player is. So let's have a look at the game board. I've already shown you these 4 factions. We also have the Intergalactic Council, the Landsraad. This is the council of the many powerful houses of the Empire, headed by the Emperor himself. Here we also have the Choam Company, which is the main force of trade in the spice. At first look, for most players, this is going to be very complicated. It's a lot of information.
That's true.
Here are a couple of the populated areas, like Carthage, the city that was the base of power for the Harkonnen family. And here's Arrakeen, which was chosen as the base of power for the Atreides family when they first landed on world. Here we have these 3. The desert, like the unpopulated areas, where you get the spice from. You're going to want to look at it this way. We have these resources over here. The goal of the game is to get victory points. Over here, how do you get victory points? A few ways. One of the main ways is to get alliances, to get influence with the different factions. Which faction do you want to have an alliance with? That is very much dependent on what strategy you want and what cards you get. For example, the Emperor is the main way to get Solaris. The Spacing Guild is going to be your main way of getting troops onto the world. Just like in the books, very thematically correct. The Spacing Guild has a monopoly on intergalactic and interstellar travel. So there you're going to have to pay a very high price in spice in order to get troops onto the planet. The Bene Gesserit is the main way that you're going to get underhanded tactics. You get these intrigue cards, which you hide from other players to do different things.
Okay.
You also get to take cards out of your deck and draw new cards. They also have the most synergy with cards in this deck. So trying to get a bunch of Bene Gesserit cards is a good idea. We also then have the Fremen, the main power of the desert. This right here is going to be the main way you get water from your still suits. And of course, the Fremen are very hardy fighters. I love this word here. Zerkrieger.
Yeah.
So you can recruit them as well.
As troops.
As troops, yes.
Nice.
It's just pretty cool. If you have the desert power and you're willing to pay the water. We'll get to that in a bit. The Landsrat is going to be the main way you spend your Solaris. This is of course the way the Empire works. The main oils the machine of the Empire. This is how you're going to get troops, how you're going to get maybe a seat on the council, how you're going to get a sword master as your agent. Then of course the Chome Company is going to be how you get Solaris by selling your spice. So these are the different things you want to consider when thinking about what do these mean. I mentioned before, these areas of the Dune planet are the main way you're going to get spice, and these areas on the planet are going to be the main way that you conduct your attacks, how you conduct your wars on the planet. I believe they're called conflicts. Let's have a look at setting up the game. First off, you're going to want to place these tokens, then you're going to want to set up the market deck. You take all these cards, shuffle them, deal out 5 in a row at the top over here. You're also going to want to take your Arrakis Contact, your Fold Space cards, as well as the Spice Must Flow cards with the worms. These are going to always be available to purchase. You're going to want to put your water tokens, your Solaris tokens and your spice tokens on the side. If you're playing with 2 or 1 players, put your House Hagal cards on the side. And then put your intrigue cards under the market deck. After that, you're going to take these conflict cards, which will determine what we fight over. How do you set up the conflict cards? Well, you're going to separate them into conflict 1, conflict 2, and conflict 3.
No shuffling.
Definitely shuffling.
Oh, okay.
Take all the conflict.
Yes, but I mean among each other. The first conflict, second, third.
No,
Or
actually.
they just go first, second, third.
Yeah, they kind of go in order because the longer this goes on, the more dangerous it is going to be. Could you help me by shuffling these?
Yeah, of course.
So you take all the number 3s, shuffle them up a bit, put them all together here on the board. Then after shuffling the number 2s, you're going to want to take 5 and put them down on top of the number 3. Then you can put the rest to the side. Then take all the conflict 1 cards, shuffle them, choose a single conflict 1 card and put it on top. That is your conflict deck. The main point of the game is going to be getting victory points. The first person above these, or rather everyone above this, in the last round will become the winner. Of course, the person with the most victory points is the ultimate winner. Now, looking at this, do you know anything about deck building?
No, zero. Zero information in my head.
All right, let's put it this way then. You know a standard deck of 52 cards, Jack, Queen, King, etc. Now imagine that you started with only the numbers 1 through 10.
Okay.
And now everybody is trying to compete to get Jacks and Queens and Kings in their deck. Everyone's trying to get the most of them. Maybe some people want more 10s. You're making your own deck of cards in this way.
Okay, like with the best value.
Yes, exactly. Or just the best value for your strategy. Think about if somehow you could make all the club cards be more powerful when played together. Then you're going to want more clubs in your decks. Just like completely random, what's your favorite suit in normal deck of cards?
Spades?
Yeah, actually I agree with that. I find spades to be pretty cool. That is a main mechanic of this game. You're going to want to take these cards to make your deck. Everyone starts with the same cards in a 10 card starting deck. As you can see here, these are going to be the starting cards. You have 7 different types. We have the signet ring, we have diplomacy, we have convincing argument, we have searching for allies. I love that word for allies. Verbündeten. Suche nach Verbündeten. Durch die Galaxie. We also have Dune, the desert planet. And we have exploration. Aufklärung. Finally, we have the dagger. As you can see, some of them only have 4 cards. Therefore, everyone gets one of these cards. Up to 4 players, of course. So, everyone gets 1 diplomacy. Everyone gets 2 convincing arguments. I wish if I had an argument with someone, I'm just like, I have a convincing argument. What would your, like, if you had a card for convincing argument, what would be the picture on it?
A formula.
Oh yeah, like mathematical formula. That is pretty cool. I think
What can be the most convincing thing?
the sword. Just you're convinced now. Everyone gets 1 exploration. Everyone gets 2 dune desert planets. Everyone can search for allies once, and everyone gets 2 daggers. Enough for both of your hands. I think that is the most convincing argument right there.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Should I shuffle it?
Yes, indeed. Take your 10 cards and shuffle them. That brings me to my next point and the next part of the game, the leaders themselves. So, as you can see here, you have one part here that says deck, and the other part here, which means discard pile. So, your deck, when it's face down, when it's complete and shuffled, goes on this side. And every time you finish using a card, or you buy a card from here, you put it face up into the discard pile. The way that deck building games work is that you will add these cards to your discard pile, and then when you run out of cards and you need to draw more, you shuffle your discard pile, and then that is your new deck, your new, more powerful, hopefully, deck.
That's easy.
Also, these leaders have their own abilities. The ability on your left is always active. For example, here, Raban begins every game with an additional spice and an additional Solaris. Do you know what your ability is?
I have no good abilities, I guess.
I think yours is very good.
You should every time Oberste. Die oberste Karte deines Deck ansehen.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm not sure what Oberste means.
Okay, Voraussicht, prediction or prescience. Basically, the topmost card, Oberste. The topmost card of your deck.
Oh, I can look at it
Yes.
right now, right?
All the time. So you always know what the top card of your deck is. Very powerful, especially if you go for a space to draw a card, but we'll get into that later. There's also another ability, which is the signet ring ability. Well, we'll get into the signet ring abilities, what exactly they do, and also what these symbols mean.
Okay.
But, just so you know, they're activated by the signet ring card. Everyone has 1 in their deck. When you use this card correctly, it will activate that ability once during that turn. The main way to do things, the important things in this game, is to send your agents to either the factions, the houses, or the planet itself.
What's the agent?
Have a look at these. These are your little agents. Oh, and these are your pieces, by the way.
Yay! I got some agents.
Yes, you do. Your very own personal agents. If you had like, what would you make agents do?
Oh, lots of things.
Are we talking like
conquer the world
I was thinking
or
more
other worlds?
True. I was thinking more like simple, like, I don't know, a foot rub?
No, too simple.
I see, you're very ambitious, have big plans. Everyone has 3 agents. Everyone starts with 2 agents. You can put them on your leader's card. And 1 agent, which is your sword master, you can get during the game. An additional agent. We can put all of them on the side. The main way to do things in this game is take an agent and put them on an area on the map. For example, if I sent them to, let's say, Carthage, bam. What this means is I get resources or actions from the space. Every space has pretty much something different. Wherever you send the agent, there you get that benefit. Send it over here, you get that card. Send it over here, these cards. Over here, you get water.
Water is important.
The most important. Waste not the water.
But if it's my strategy, then...
It could be. Water can be a very good strategy, especially to get the spice. The most important resource in the game, the spice must flow.
Even more important than water? In the desert?
True. But I mean, would you rather have, think about it this way, would you rather have a nice cool drink or would you rather have hallucinogenic drugs?
That's a good one. And complicated choice.
A difficult one for most. In this case, the Empire values spice a lot more. Spice makes the universe work. People can't really travel the galaxy without spice. The Spacing Guild needs it in order to send the large shipments and armies throughout the galaxies. Another part of the setup is going to be these cubes. If you have a look at them, they normally represent your soldiers, your forces, your troops. We're going to put 1 block, however, to keep track on the bottom of each faction. This is going to count our, let's say, influence with this faction. Every time you send an agent to the faction, let's say to the Emperor, because you want 2 Solaris, that symbol is Solaris, you will gain 1 influence with that faction. Here, 1 influence. Which faction do you think you're going to want to be the most influential with throughout
I
the
like
turn?
purple color.
Also true, the Bene Gesserit, the female order of mystics. I think it will suit your strategy.
We'll see. I don't have strategy so far, but I'm going there.
By the looks of it though, you have a very cunning mind and very ambitious.
I'm happy that looks so.
Well, you can be so in this game.
I will do my best.
The importance of gaining faction influence is that on these spaces, you will get 1 victory point. And you keep track of victory points with these little circular tokens. You also start your setup by putting these circles at the 0. If you're playing with 4 players, you put them at the 1. But every time you gain a victory point, you move your marker up 1 space. This can go up and down.
This is the ultimate goal of the game.
The ultimate goal, to reach 10 or more victory points. The more influence you have, you can eventually get an alliance with your faction. You will also be able to get influence with these factions with cards. For example, these symbols show either influence down or influence up. Question mark with any faction that you choose. If, for example, you go below 2 points of influence with a faction, you have to take this victory point away. If you reach an alliance with a faction, you get to take this little piece, and that is +1 victory point. And if someone else gets more influence with that faction and an alliance, they get to take it.
I see.
So you're competing for their attention. The next important card are the intrigue cards. As a Bene Gesserit person, you're going to be very interested in these. There are 3 types of influence cards. You have a combat card, a plot card, and an end game card. We'll talk about what they do in a moment. But this symbol over here means that you can get an influence card, you hide it from everyone else, and you can play it during the correct phase. depending on the type. Set them up over here and have a discard pile for them over here. I also highly recommend that for all these symbols, there are resources online which have a reference sheet, which just show you what the symbols mean. We will put a link to that in the description. Now that we have finished the setup, we will look at the phases of the game and start to try and play.
Cool.
The phases of the game are shown over here. The round beginning phase, the player's turn, the battle, the sandworms, and then the recall. We're going to go one by one. Also, very useful, you have a little explanation of each of these rounds on the back of your leader card.
Like a hint.
Yes, they can tell you everything that you can do during these rounds. The final piece of setup is to put this little piece, the Mentat, in its place in the Landsrad. The Mentat is an extra agent that you can get by sending an agent to this space. The Mentat only stays for one turn, and then it goes back to the Landsrad. Now, let us begin an example round of the game. We choose which player goes first.
You go.
I'll do it. And you begin your round beginning phase by drawing 5 cards. Everyone draws 5 cards and then turns over the first combat card. This shows you what the winners of combat will get. For example, first place gets a victory point, second place a water, third place a spice. We'll get to that when we go through combat. For now, that's the setup phase. During the player's turn phases, there are 2 different actions we can take. The first is an agent action. You take an agent turn to send agents onto the map. Have a look at some of your cards quickly. You'll see that some of them have small colored symbols on the, like over the picture on the left-hand side. This symbol will tell you where you can send your agents. You use the card to send your agents to a space with that symbol. For example, the triangles here for Arrakis and the Chome Company. These purple circles for the inhabited parts of Arrakis, and so on and so forth. In order to send an agent to any of these spaces, you have to play a card with a symbol on it.
And if there is no symbol on it?
Then you cannot use it to send an agent anywhere.
So it's basically a useless card.
We will get to that in the next type of turn. It's almost useless, but not quite, because that will happen after your agent turns. But for now, I will play Dune the Desert Planet, and since it has a triangle symbol, I can send my agent on one of these 5 spaces. Have a look at these spaces. If there are symbols underneath this little picture, that means you need to pay the cost to go here. This costs 2 water. This costs 1 water. This, you can choose any amount of spice, and that will give you the corresponding amount of Solaris. Also, part of our setup, every player will get 1 water to start. If you're playing single player or with 2 people, you will then take the House Hagal cards, shuffle them, and put them to the side. For 2 players, that's all that happens. For 1 player, these cards will also have their own leader cards. But for now, we put them here. This is like our enemy. They, in this 2-player game, will serve as interference to try stop us from doing things. Now, this game was meant for 3 to 4 people. So we have these agents here, and when playing with only 2 people, House Hagal will follow your agent turn with its own agent turn. We'll see that now. For now, I have used my Dune Wüstenplanet. I will send my agent here to the Hagar Basin. Because there's a water symbol underneath, I have to pay 1 water to go here. And to the right of every area, this is what you get for going on that space. Here, I get 2 spice, plus any spice that the worm creates in this phase. We will see that soon. After I take my turn, and this is going to keep happening for my turn, which is kind of weird, I find. I'm going to look at a House Hagal card, and this shows what will happen with this enemy. It will show the space that it goes to. It doesn't pay any costs, it doesn't get any resources. What it does do is get 1 influence.
Oh, right away.
Right away. Anyway, as part of the setup that I forgot as well, everyone gets 3 troops in their garrison. You put the troops in the spaces closest to whichever player is there. So we can do it like this. That is the one thing about this game. It's meant for 3 to 4 people. Single player isn't great. With 2 people, this kind of gets in the way of play. I highly recommend downloading the DUNE Companion app. This will automate these House of Gull cards, tell you what to do very simply and easily. Then you don't have to deal with all this nonsense. Anyhow, House of Gull, as you can see, gets 1 influence point with this faction. And then we put the card away. Every player gets as many agent turns in their round as they have agents. So as long as I have agents, I can keep playing agent turns. For example, I will then use another card here. In fact, I will use this exploration card to send my agent to the purple space. I will then put my agent over here in Carthage. This means that I get to recruit an agent and I get to take an intrigue card. Every agent recruited can be put into the garrison. The combat phase happens by putting troops into the middle. Whenever you put a little agent on one of these desert spaces, you'll see desert spaces throughout that have crossed swords at the bottom right. These are zones in conflict, which means that when you do this, you can move up to 2 agents from your garrison into the conflict zone, which gives you combat power, and any agents you recruited that turn. So I put for this move, and this move only, and because I recruited an agent here, I can put 2 from my garrison plus 1 that I recruited. This is my intrigue card. Let's have a look. I'll tell you that it is a combat intrigue card, which means I can only play it during combat phase. House Hagal will take another turn. They will go to Arakeen. They will get 1 little troop in their garrison, and because it is a combat zone, they will send as many troops as they can, up to 2, and the troop they recruited into the combat zone, just to make my life difficult. I am out of agent turns.
And?
I will take the next kind of turn, which is a reveal turn. That is where cards without symbols come into play as well. I reveal all the cards in my hand. These blue spaces underneath are reveal turn abilities. I get these resources when using them during a reveal turn. Let me explain what these resources are. This is persuasion, what you use to buy cards. I now have 3, which means I can buy this card over here, the changing loyalties card. The anatomy of the card, these at the top are agent turn abilities. When you play this as an agent to put an agent down on the world, that ability activates. We'll see that soon. After purchasing a card, it goes into your discard pile. And remember, the cards you played to put agents into the universe, they do not activate their abilities during your reveal phase.
I see.
Now, I'm done with my turn. I have here 1 combat. I take my little token, combat token, put 1 on here, combat token goes there as well, and count for every troop I have in the game, I gain 2 combat. So I get 6 plus that 1, 7. My turn is finally over.
Is it my turn now?
It is, Nastia. Go ham. So, what is the
I check
first
my
thing?
cards.
Yes.
And
make sure that you keep your hand and your deck separate.
Yes.
Right now it doesn't matter, but your deck will always be next to your card and your discard pile next to there.
Even though I only go with first 5 now, right? The rest is still here.
That's true. First 5.
Okay, now I get to choose where to put my agent to, right?
Yes.
Complicated.
It is a difficult decision.
It is.
I did explain at the beginning what these spaces do, but it's very difficult to keep track of. For now, your best option will be to send your agent to places without any cost underneath.
Yes.
So these types of places, places with a cost, we don't really have resources yet. So your best options are there.
I will play the ring card.
Yes, the signet ring.
Yes, and I will send my agent up here.
Very cool. You send your agent to the tome space where you come to an agreement. Abkommentreffen. Meet an agreement. And you get 3 Solaris.
Yay!
Just greasing palms. Now, you will see that in this signet ring card, the gray space has an ability symbol.
Yes.
This gray space over
That
here.
means I can activate my superpowers.
Yes, exactly right. This green card symbol means you get to draw a card.
Which one? The intrigue.
No, the one from your deck, the top of your deck, the one you've been looking at this whole time, or you're able to look at.
I'm adding this one to my hand deck now.
Yes, perfect.
And I can use it once again in my second agent move.
Yes, exactly right.
I will use this card
Oh,
and I will send my agent here.
all right, to the Imperial Basin. You get 1 spice. Oh my gosh, you sent a troop to this combat space over here. That means you can send troops into combat. Up to 2.
Up to 2.
Would you like to do so? Remember, you cannot gain combat without having at least 1 troop here in the middle. If you don't have any troops, you don't get any of the rewards.
I will send just 1.
All right. Very cool. Now it's your reveal turn.
Okay.
Yes.
With all of these signs, I can get some influence.
That is correct.
Not influence, but persuasion, right?
Influence, persuasion, yes.
And this symbol?
That means you get 1 extra combat.
Okay, I see.
During your reveal phase, you add up all your combat together and put the right amount on the board. How much combat do you have right now?
3 in general.
Correct. Ding, 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 1 point.
So, and I have 5 persuasion points.
Indeed.
So I will buy this card.
Yes. This card is very interesting. Let's have a look at it. So this card has symbols that you can send your agents to, including the Fremen faction symbol, meaning you can send agents here. Also interesting is that there's an arrow under the cost, meaning an ability is activated when you buy it. You've now bought this card, which means you get 1 water.
Ooh, didn't know that, but nice.
Its ability is only when you reveal it, so it does nothing if you use it for an agent, but when you reveal it, you get 2 in persuasion, and then you draw as many cards. Oh, this is interesting. You can take as many troops from the combat zone back into your garrison, like a retreat. That is its ability. So you go ahead and put that in your discard pile. Perfect.
So there was 2. I have 3 more left.
That cost 5.
Oh, right. So no, that's all. Then.
Yeah, then your turn is over, including these cards you used for agents. Whenever you purchase a card, replace it immediately afterwards. Yay, we got through our first player turn phase. Now we go into the battle phase.
And this guy?
This guy will battle with us.
Okay.
I'm the first player, so I go first. The point of the battle phase is that everyone has an opportunity to reveal a combat intrigue card.
I don't have any.
I cannot play this card at the moment, but you can see I do have a combat intrigue card. I will keep that for later. This little Hagal agent will also play a card and gain the combat from it. In this case, Hagar agent has 3 troops, which means 6 combat, plus 1, 7. It's a tie. You do not have any intrigue cards, so you cannot play. And the combat phase is over after every player passes in succession, one after the other. Which means I now have to say, I've got nothing. You've said it, I've said it, now that phase is over. We count it up, we look who has what reward. When playing with 3 players, there is no reward for third place. Third place only gets a reward when there are 4 players. When 2 players are tied, they both get the next bottom reward. So for example, we're both tied for first, me and him both get second place reward. You unfortunately get nothing. Now, since this Hagal person cannot get any resources, I go ahead and take my water. That ends the combat phase. At this point, the sandworms come into effect. The giant sandworms, the Shai Halud, roam across the desert, eating through the sand underneath. And of course, swallowing anything stupid enough to walk its surface. It will create spice on any space where there is no agent. So 1 spice goes onto this space. You get that bonus spice if you send an agent to that space. Now we do the recall phase. Everyone takes back their agents. And everyone takes back the troops. The troops that you have sent into battle are lost, as it were. You put them back in your supply. The ones in your garrison stay where they are. And that is the first round of DUNE Imperium.
Yay! Yeah, we actually did it! Woo!
At the beginning of the next round, the round beginning, is very straightforward though, isn't it? You put the next combat card into play. For the purposes of this demonstration, I will look for a particular kind of combat card. This, the Battle for Arakeen. This is an interesting one because the first place player not only gets a victory point, but will also gain control of one of these spaces, in this case, Arakeen. The winner of this combat gets to put this piece onto the space.
And it stays there forever.
Unless someone else takes it in another battle for Arakeen,
Okay.
which can show up. What does it mean to have control over a space? It means that when any player, including yourself, puts an agent in this space, you gain this bonus. So every time someone goes here, I gain, if I were to win, 1 Solaris. If another battle for Arakeen comes up, this player also gets a defense bonus, which means automatically they get 1 troop from their supply, not from their garrison, from their supply, into battle, because they have the home field advantage. So that's a very important mechanic right there.
More rules, more rules.
Oh, there's so many rules. There are so many rules. This game, for how complex and how many rules there are, it can feel kind of empty, especially when you're not playing with more people. In fact, the deck building doesn't have as much impact as actions on the board do, as using resources, especially on these action cards. It's very much more about piece management, worker placement, with deck building on the side to progress the game. And it has a lot of rules. A plus side of this game is it's explained pretty well in the rules of the game, but there's a lot that you can miss if you're in a hurry trying to get your friends up to speed. Especially this part about only being able to put 2 troops into combat, plus any you recruited that turn when going into a combat zone. Do that twice to be able to put 4 troops, as well as whatever you recruited. Of course, you have the opportunity to put what you recruited into your garrison. That leads us to the next part of the game, which we will all eventually get to. is the end game. This happens when, during a turn, one or more players go past the 10 victory point threshold. At the end of this turn, we see who wins and loses, and players are also able to play an end game intrigue card. For example, this card, it gives you 1 or 2 victory points depending on your influence with factions. You can only play it at the end of the game. Another point is these plot cards. You can play this at any point during your agent phase or your reveal phase of the player turn. Of course, there's also these, which you can play during your combat phase. I could have paid 2 spice for like 7 combat. It's very fun to do that actually. It's like your enemy has spent all their turns putting pieces on combat. They've paid like 2 water to get more pieces. They've gone to the freaking Space Guild to get like 5 troops. You're very close, neck and neck. You just pull out this card. No, like, you just go, no, reverse. And
But this only happens at the end game.
this happens during the combat phase.
Okay.
This one happens during the end game. Another important part is playing with 2 players and this House Hagal deck. You're going to need to remove all 1-player cards from the deck. So here, it will say 1 player in the top right. You gotta remove all of those. At the same time, during the game, players will be able to spend 8 Solaris and go to a Landsrat space in order to get their Swordmaster. That's an extra agent for the rest of the game. If the starting player plays 3 agents in a turn, the House of Gal will also do that, one after the other. I will play an agent, they will play an agent. I will play an agent, they will play an agent. And you just have to wait. Sorry. Also at the end game, you might end up with a tie. In this case, you decide who wins thusly. The player with the most spice, if that's tied, then the player with the most Solaris, and if that's tied, the player with the most water. If all of that is tied, in the very rare case, I read this on the FAQ section of the website for this game, by the way. If you're looking for rule clarifications, you should check out the website. In this case, the player who went first lost. The previous player to have gone first, they win. Okay, we're going to try a round where you're the first player. So, let us go for a round. Would you like to go for it?
Yes, I would really love to do that. I only have 4 cards.
You should have 5. So this is very important as well. You only have 4 cards, but you have to draw a new one. That means you shuffle your discard pile and then draw that extra card. That's how you get the strong cards into your, into your deck, into your game. I will also use the round beginning to draw 5 cards. Okay, so what will you do?
1 second. I will play this card with yellow triangle.
Yes, indeed.
And I will send my agent up here. And I will pay 2 waters.
Very bold move. Very
guess.
good indeed. Yes, that means you get 3 spice and the extra spice from the worm.
Oh, that's good.
Very cool.
Do I send any troops in the camp area?
Very sharp. You have entered a battle zone, which means you can send up to 2 troops from your garrison into the battle zone.
I will send them all.
Awesomeness. Good turn.
And as I have 1 more agent.
Almost. When playing with 2 players, House Hagal goes next.
Yes, of course.
House Hagal takes an agent and goes to the Highliner space. This gives him 3 troops to recruit, which he will put into play. He always puts recruited troops into combat. He gains 1 alliance over here. I believe that's the 2nd time he does that this turn. But because it's 2 players, he doesn't get the victory point, and that ends his turn. He will, if he has any troops in his garrison, he will also send up to 2 into combat. Now you can take your next agent turn. Just so you know, if you want to really buy a card here, for example, and you need to then keep all 4 cards that you have. You don't want to use them to send out an agent. What you can do is simply skip to your reveal turn. That means that you won't be using one of your agent phases, but you will have more reveal turn abilities.
Oh, too complicated. So I'll
it's
just.
a lot simpler to use.
I will play my agent card. I will use this one.
Usually a good idea. Ooh.
And I will send my soldier here.
Very good.
So No, I don't go.
You do.
Any influence? Do I?
You
One?
do. You get 1 influence.
And also I can draw the intrigue card.
Yes, indeed. You can draw an intrigue
Do you
card.
have any intrigue cards? Because as far as I see, I can
yeah.
also
I
steal
have that
one
one.
from you.
I do have an intrigue card. However, that symbol means you can steal one if I have 4 intrigue cards or more.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Sharp eye.
But anyways, I'll get at least 1 intrigue card.
Yes. Ooh, what is it? What kind of intrigue card?
It's a plot.
Ooh, that means you can play it immediately or keep it.
Yes, I will play it immediately. No, wait. Yes, why not? And I can move up here, right?
That's true. That's plus 1 influence with the spacing guild.
And reveal, I guess.
Not yet. So firstly, all used intrigue cards go into a discard pile, and then you activate the agent ability in the top space, that gray space. In this case, the ability says to trash this card.
Yes.
A lot of cards have the ability to trash other cards or themselves. For example, this card, this symbol lets you trash a card in your hand or your discard pile. And this card also trashes itself. So you just put that on the side. So Nastya, you played your 2nd agent. It is now House Hagal's turn. House Hagal draws Arakeen and sends their agent there.
Smart move.
I don't know if I would call this thing smart. It's not very smart.
Smarter than me.
Smart. No. You did this. This was the coolest move ever. So
Thank you.
you're doing so good. House Hagal now gets a troop, puts it in combat, puts any troop from their garrison into combat, up to 2, because this is a combat space. That is their turn. Now you may play your reveal phase.
Du-du-du-du.
Woohoo.
So I get 2, 4, 5 points in here,
Yes, exactly.
and I can buy something for free. Persuasions.
Yes, there you go. You're much better at remembering it than I am.
I will buy this one.
Woohoo. A Ben Gesserit card.
It looks cool.
What does it do? Let's see.
No idea.
Oh, every enemy chooses to either discard a card or to lose a troop. To lose a set troop here.
You get to choose.
When you play this,
Oh, when I play this, okay, but for
During-
now I just stuck it.
yeah, for now you put it into your discard pile. So you use this ability when you use this card for an agent turn. If you used it for a reveal turn, you get 2 persuasion.
Great.
That is your reveal. You may pack up. So that, in essence, is how you play Dune Imperium,
Interesting.
the worker placing deck building board game.
Complicated,
Indeed.
but it makes sense.
It's complicated in only that it has many different moving parts.
Too many.
Perhaps too many, but with enough time and enough experience, you will realize that each part in itself is rather simple.
Yeah, of course.
Just needs a bit of practice and maybe someone who knows what they're doing. In any case, I believe that wraps up today's Let's Learn playthrough, and I hope to play a full game of this with someone else joining us another day.
Thank you.
Leave a like and a comment if you want to see us do a full playthrough. Also ring that bell. For new players of this game, I highly recommend downloading the Dune Imperium Companion or the Direwolf Game Room app. This will help streamline the House Hagar portion of the game, especially if you're 2 players. If you want to try single player, it could be your thing. It can be rather challenging, but I found it somewhat dull. I will also leave links in the descriptions for that player reference sheet made very well on Board Game Geek. And I also direct you to the DUNE Imperium website, which has the frequently asked questions and certain rule clarifications for those gamers that have a particular nagging point that they want to sort out. You know, a quick Google while other people are taking their turn. As for now, thank you very much for learning the game with me, and I look very much forward to playing this game with you.
Me too.
Let's play with, who would you suggest to play with?
Who else to join us, you mean?
Yes, who would join us here? Speechless, are we? Well, good thing for us, we are in Shree Time Club, where you can meet other like-minded board gamers and set up a beautiful playing area where you can get all your friends very easily and quickly to join your favorite game. We provide snacks and drinks included with your time, so you don't even have to worry about catering, taking care of your guests at home, for example. You don't even have to worry about spillages. This is all our games. You're just using it for now, but we do have the facilities to protect them. So what are you waiting for? This is a board gamer's paradise. This is your home away from home, your host away from being a host. This is Shree Time Club. Remember, no matter how angry you are at a game, treat every board game with respect. Now it is time for a energy drink fueled rant about the original Dune game, now re-realized with the movie graphics. However, this game, good gods, it is quite something for the unprepared. This game is a reprint of the first ever released Dune board game from 1979. This is before games were good. Like when the slavery to the source material was the main thing, where it was all about the books of Dune. Everything here, every mechanic, every rule is meant to follow the book, and while yes, it's great that it's made for fans of Dune to be able to feel like they're playing Dune, I don't know if this is the right way to do it. So first off, this is a big improvement. I mean, you see the movie visuals here. Look at this board. The pieces are so much more improved. Look at these faces. The original game had this art style that was very 1980s, and there wasn't a single person of color in sight. Not one. This is already a huge level up. Let's go into the rulebook. They also trimmed down the rulebook a lot. But if you're going to be playing this game, prepare to be confused, because every faction has its own thing. You're going to be trying to figure out what these things do. You're going to make mistakes the first time you play this. Unless someone you play with knows how to play this game, you're going to need to figure it out with each other. You're going to be so lost otherwise. Every single faction here has an ability that is totally unfair, but it only works in this game. This asymmetrical strategy only works, especially with 6 people, when it comes to trying to talk to each other, trying to trick each other, betray each other, make alliances. It says it's a game of diplomacy, but this is a game of spite, the way I see it. I tried looking at this game to teach to someone else. It's a painful, especially trying to learn from others on YouTube. Watch any videos. I recommend a lot. There's a guy in a wetsuit that does this really well. Basically, people are saying, don't buy this game, don't play this game, it's just gonna gather dust on your shelf. Look at these tiny pieces, like it's so small, look at that. The whole point is that you're on the Dune planet. When you have a ton of these pieces and where the action takes place in these tiny quarters, you're stacking these things up. 2, 3 players are trying to be here, they're gonna fall over, they're gonna mix, you're going to miss symbols. This is already a huge update. When it comes to this, you have such unfair abilities. One of these abilities basically means you have to pay them. like all the time. One of these abilities means that you have to guess who the winner will be, and then you win. The other person doesn't even win. There's abilities here to plant a traitor. If you have the correct traitor, every battle is all or nothing. Everyone will lose. And if you have a traitor, you basically wipe out your enemy with losing nothing. I mean, the cards are beautiful. The artwork has done really well. They've really done a good job with the symbols, even with the pieces, with the faces. You know what? I will go ahead and be kind to this game. If you're a fan of Dune, if you've read the books, if you noticed all the lore that missed out in the first movie like I did, play this game. You will get into the feel of it, but you will need other friends. It's like playing poker. You don't play poker with 2 people. You're gonna need like 5, 6 people, and it's balanced around 6 people because everything is different. Get friends who will want to go through this painful journey with you, but if you like this kind of game where you're trying to trick each other, where you're trying to make backroom deals, where you're trying to stretch the rules of the game, like pay me, I'll tell you what cards I have in my hand, that sort of thing. Play this game. If you're willing to not know how long you're gonna play for, if you think a game can be over in 2 hours or 6, if you're willing to do that, then play this game. Otherwise, get it for a collector's piece. It's like, put it next to the books on your shelf. Otherwise, if you don't have a hardcore fan base as your friend group, give this one maybe a bit of a miss. Come to Free Time Club, have a look at it, get together on meetup.com, find your group, then you can try this out. Then I recommend, just for the feeling, for the history of this game. This game came out before games were properly researched, before we made all the technological advances. If you want a time capsule into Frank Herbert's 1965 Dune in game form, this is it. If you want to have fun with just bringing your friends together to play a game that you like from a world that you like that they maybe watched the movies from, then I suggest Dune Imperium or something like that. This, just reading the rule book and trying to figure it out, this is a scary one. But it is a scary one that one day I would like to have a beer-fueled, absolute mess of a game night over. Because it looks like that's the kind of fun this game has in store.